Okay, so if you've been following the channel recently, I've just got this guy back out of storage for the last couple years while I was over in Europe, and a couple things have been surfaced. One of them that I had a problem with is that my winch wasn't working. Now, pro tip, if you want to test your winch after you haven't used it for a long time, and at the same time you think, hey, I got a synthetic winch line, let me go and make sure nothing's been frayed or degraded or gotten worn away in those couple years, make sure you have power first before you spool this thing all the way out, because then you get stuck with no power trying to reel this thing in by hand. Now, obviously I wouldn't do something like that, and I couldn't tell you from experience how much it hurts and how locked your hands get in this position if you're trying to spool in 100 feet of rope. But just remember that, test your power first. So what I have done already is I did go to a shop and borrow a power probe, so I know it's getting power. It's not that, and it's not the ground. So a little bit of research on the interwebs, and what I thought was it's possibly the socket where the wired remote was plugged into. This thing, being over on the East Coast, got a lot of surface corrosion that was not there before I parked it. Being in mostly West Texas, and for most of its life, it didn't have a lot of surface corrosion. You can see underneath now that it is just covered in surface rust and whatnot. So I thought that that plug had gotten corroded and was causing some problems. So I went in there and I tried to clean it out with some vinegar and whatnot. But it looks pretty good, and the reason why is I had the plug from the wired remote plugged in there the whole time. Now, the directions specifically say not to do that. However, as you can see, the grill would normally be resting right here, and the way that this winch is oriented, it's not sitting on top like a Jeep would, or where it's open. Because of the Shrockworks bumper here, it has to be sitting I guess horizontally, laying backwards in the bumper, and it's really hard to get to. Normally the grill comes all the way out to here, so you can't reach down and put the plug in, and there is a hole underneath here, but because of the pins and whatnot, it's really hard to reach up in there and get the angle, so I just left it plugged in permanently. Come to find out that it is not that plug. I did some research on the interwebs, and luckily my neighbor Brandon, who you may have seen in one of my other videos, has a JK, and he has a Smittybilt winch, and I borrowed his wired remote and it worked just fine. So obviously my remote had gone bad. I don't know how. It was just sitting in there, and I had it mounted up here, but it had not. That was the problem. I don't know what it was. I don't know why, but anyway, rather than going and trying to find a new plug, I've always wanted this thing to be wireless. So I went did some more interwebs research and found this little kit here on Amazon for, gosh, I think I paid like 15 bucks for this thing. But as you can see, now if you go on Amazon, they have like thousands of versions of this, but as you can see, it's got a wireless remote. It's got two of these. Most of them on there have a little key fob remote, and one of these, I have enough key fobs, so I don't need any more key fobs. So I went with two of these, thinking it'd be a little easier for me to keep track of, because I tend to lose stuff a lot. And it's got your wireless remote here. Now the wires pretty much line up from what's in that solenoid box, but you just gotta basically splice and connect them, and that's what we're gonna try to do today, see if I can make this work. I am not the best electrician, so we will see what happens. Wish me luck. And so the first thing we got to do is take the control box off. It looks like it's just a couple of 3mm screws mounted up here. 3mm Allen wrench screws. And then of course you got to take the same side off here, or the other side, excuse me. So as you can see, once you take the bolts to hold on the cover off, you just pop the cover right off. It just slides right on and off. And then of course there's this electric clip, or plastic clip. Yeah. This thing is a pain in the butt. But anyway, there it is. Now I'm going to take this socket off. This is what I was talking about last time, that or earlier, that is the pin that I thought was corroded in here. I read on the interwebs that this was sometimes a problem. It doesn't turn out to be the problem with this one, but you could always just make sure that your pins aren't broken or bent or anything if you have something going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off so I can work with it a little bit easier, work with these cords here. Also, make sure that before you do this, you make sure you disconnect the power to your winch from your battery. That way you don't blow anything up or have any shorts. This is I don't think I said it earlier, this is a Smittybilt XRC 9.5 winch that I'm working with here with a synthetic rope. Okay, so here we are. We got the wireless winch controller. This is the socket from inside the Smittybilt winch. First thing you want to do is you got to snip the blue and the brown wires, because this is what you're going to splice into. And you got to strip them just enough to be able to basically reconnect them together while adding in the yellow and the white cords from this one, from the controller itself. So at this point, this is the point of no return. These sockets right now are on back order from Smittybilt. So if I screw this up, a little bit longer without a winch. So here we go. So as you can see, I've already got the wires connected, yellow to blue and white to brown. The white and the yellow obviously coming from the wireless controller. I've already got it taped up because I did not want you guys to get jealous of my soldering skills, because they are obviously top-notch, as you can see by the excess here. I was going with the more is better technique. But another pro tip, just make sure that before you solder and connect these, you run the wires from the controller back through the hole, because otherwise you won't be able to get it through there. So at this point, we're going to go and connect it and see if we can get it to work. So at this point, you got the red and the black wire from the wireless receiver still here. You want to go ahead and connect it to the solenoid box. Obviously, this is the ground right here for the black wire, and the red goes over here to the power wire, which you can kind of see right there, that red wire right there. So we get those connected up. Then I'm going to double-sided Velcro the wireless controller box. I'm going to try to put it right here. Originally I tried to put it on the inside of the box, but then I forgot that obviously it would have had clearance issues here, so we'll see. Alright guys, here a moment of truth. Before I go any further, I did kind of lie to you last time. I know it's getting dark and this is really hard to see, so I'm sorry, but I told you the wrong neutral ground lug was back here. It's actually right here on top of the solenoid. I was looking through the camera and I just didn't have a good view on it, so apologize. But as you can see, I got the box mounted in there, got all the wires up, got the controller here, so let's see what we got here. Hopefully I got a good connection, and well, here goes nothing. Let's see, got to turn the power switch on and out. Oh, and it works. Success. So there you go. Sorry it got a little dark here toward the end. You know, it just took a little longer for me to solder than I thought I would, because like I said, I'm so good at it, it just has to be perfect, if you know what I mean. And now you just got to button everything back up, put it all there, put the grill back on, and we got a winch again.